All right, welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're breaking down an absolute masterpiece of digital survival. We're talking about a wildly unpredictable, highly chaotic Minecraft manhunt that honestly plays out like a summer blockbuster. We're going to do a pseudo-serious, tactical breakdown of a chase that involves mistaken identity, underground tunnels, and, well, a highly questionable use of farm animals. So get ready to analyze one of the greatest getaways ever recorded, and maybe, just maybe, learn a thing or two about surviving complete and utter chaos. You know, it really all boils down to this absolutely absurd question. How do you escape the police of 14 different nations when your only line of defense, your absolute master disguise, is pretending to be a chicken? I know. It sounds completely ridiculous. But as we're about to see, the stakes in this story are incredibly high. The panic is very, very real, and the comedic brilliance of this evasion strategy, it's completely off the charts. Okay, Section 1, the proposed day disaster. Let's dive right into exactly how this massive international manhunt even kicked off. To really understand the sheer scale of Durbin's massive mistake, we've got to look at his expectations versus the reality of the situation. So it was proposed day, and Durbin wanted to offer flowers to a girl named Minu. He sees someone from behind wearing a blue dress, assumes it's her, and just starts aggressively flirting. But the reality? Well, he couldn't see her face properly. It wasn't Minu at all. It was the Colonel's wife. This brings us to technical error number 1, target misidentification. And to make a terrible situation infinitely worse, when she rightfully gets angry at him, he completely panics and calls her a chudel, a witch, right to her face. As you can probably guess, this completely and utterly infuriates her husband, the Colonel. But he doesn't just get mad. Oh no, he unleashes a literal Bollywood-level police force. We're talking iconic powerhouse cops like Singham, Chulbul Pandey, and Simba, all descending on Durbin and his friend Kari's house. And the Colonel is so enraged that he actually brings a JCB bulldozer to the scene, fully intending to demolish Kari's house to the ground just to get his hands on Durbin. Moving on to Section 2, the tactical evasion route. Because when you're suddenly faced with an international police force and heavy demolition machinery, you've got to treat the situation with the gravity of a true crime heist. And this brilliantly illustrates the frantic but precise evasion route they mapped out to stay one step ahead of the law. They start at Carrie's heavily surrounded house, flee to a nearby pig pen just minutes later as the bulldozer moves in, transition to an empty shop mid-chase as the heat really starts to rise, and finally, they seek ultimate refuge in a remote Adivasi or tribal village. It's like a giant puzzle, and every single location requires a brand new, highly improvised survival strategy. So, as that JCB bulldozer literally threatens to bring the roof down on their heads, Carrie deploys some serious quick-thinking tactics. First up, they use a secret underground escape tunnel that he had apparently built just for emergencies exactly like this. Once they're above ground, Carrie applies this highly questionable plant and leaf camouflage that honestly just makes him way more visible. Realizing they're completely exposed, they figure their best bet is to hide in a nearby stable right among the farm animals, using the rock-solid logic that their faces kind of look like the pigs anyway. But guys, in a shocking twist of betrayal, the stable is compromised. One of the pigs in the pen isn't just a pig, it's an undercover informant. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. This absolute traitor of a farm animal immediately radios the police commissioner to report that Durbin and Kari are hiding in the pig pen. Boom. The cops are instantly tipped off to their exact location. The Colonel storms into the stable, demanding answers. In a moment of pure, unadulterated panic, Kari points to Durbin, who has somehow managed to contort himself into a disguise and claims he is just a rare brown Afghan murga, an Afghani rooster. The absolute absurdity of this excuse is staggering, but what's even crazier? The Colonel instantly believes it. He completely buys it. In fact, he's so impressed by this rare rooster that he tells Kari he plans to come back and eat it later. So they survive the encounter, but they know for sure they can't stay there. Which brings us to Section 3, the shop showdown and delivery decoy. The heat is significantly increasing. The farm is definitely no longer safe, and these fugitives have got to keep moving. Durbin quickly realizes he is now a real badmaash, a certified, highly wanted criminal. Wanted posters are plastered absolutely everywhere across the city, and there's now a 15,000 rupee bounty squarely on his head. He's famous, but for all the wrong reasons, and you can feel the paranoia really setting in as they hide out in an empty, abandoned shop. But of course, they aren't alone. A heavily armored Gollum police officer suddenly ambushes them inside the shop, immediately radioing the Colonel with their location. Cornered and desperate, Durbin actually decides to fight back. He lands this massive kick, sending the golem flying across the room and shouting, "This is the power of Durbin's leg." It's a great moment, and he wins the skirmish, but the reality is the rest of the police force is now converging right on their exact coordinates.
So, the crucial point is, how do you escape a building that is completely surrounded? Well, you deploy the tempo escape strategy. They spot a delivery tempo truck parked outside. Carrie jumps into the driver's seat, pretending to be a delivery worker, while Durbin cramps himself into the enclosed cargo box in the back. When the cops stop the truck and demand to inspect the cargo, they open the back doors only to find Bondu, a dancing madman who was inexplicably already in the truck, acting as the perfect decoy. The police are so thoroughly confused and annoyed by this dancing guy that they just tell them to drive away, completely missing Durbin hiding underneath the vehicle.
Section 4. Infiltrating the Adivasi village. Having successfully slipped right through the police blockade, our fugitives drive out of the city and seek their final refuge in a mysterious, chaotic Adivasi village. Now, Kari reveals some pretty wild backstory here. He claims he actually lived with these villagers for 10 years on a secret army surveillance mission, but abandoned the whole thing because he fell in love. Because of this deep history, he acts as the official translator. But let's be honest, his translations are highly questionable. When a villager says tuk tuk tuk, Kari confidently claims it means thank you. But then, suddenly, a villager yells tuk a tuk, which Kari correctly identifies as a panicked warning. The police have tracked them down. The cops are in the village.
Section 5. The Mastermind Blackmail Twist. Cornered in the village with absolutely nowhere left to run, Durbin and Carrie decide it's time to stop playing defense and start playing offense. As the colonel approaches to interrogate them, Durbin pulls out his most desperate, bizarre, and honestly hilarious disguise yet. He dresses up and pretends to be the female head of the village, the Sarpanch. And the colonel? He is completely oblivious. He doesn't recognize Durbin at all and actually starts heavily flirting with this supposed female village head. Now, what's really interesting about this strategy is how flawlessly they execute their catfish revenge plan. Step 1. Durbin, in full disguise, lures the colonel into saying romantic things, which Kari helpfully translates as tuk 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 tuk. While the colonel is totally distracted, Kari snaps a highly compromising photograph of him flirting with another woman. Then they sneak all the way back into the city and post this photo directly on the wall of the police headquarters for everyone, including the colonel's wife, to see. Game, set, match. The aftermath is just a masterpiece of poetic justice. The colonel's wife sees the photo, is furious at his betrayal, and leaves him on the spot. Because of the massive public scandal, the colonel is fired from the police force entirely. Disgraced, with literally nothing left, he permanently moves to the Adivasi village. And with the colonel gone, the 14 Mulkonki police just completely drop the manhunt. But here is the ultimate twist of irony. While they successfully beat the cops, Durbin ends up stuck dealing with the colonel's newly single, highly demanding ex-wife, the very woman whose misunderstanding started this entire chase in the first place. The ultimate takeaway here? Every action has a reaction, and sometimes the escape is actually worse than the capture. So I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. In a world of raging bulldozers, international police forces, and undercover pig informants, who was the real tactical mastermind here? The highly trained 14 Mulkonki police, or the guy disguised as a fake Afghan Murga? Thank you so much for joining me on this tactical breakdown. It has been an absolute blast explaining this chaotic escape to all. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I will see you on the next explainer.